So we've been having a series on alternative living places to our own homes. Because as much as we love our own homes, many of us do find that when we plan our future, we need to think about alternatives and that we would like. And there are a lot of them out there. So today our presenter is Brittani Johnson. And Brittani is from the Brookdale group. Henry wrote this very nice thing about Brittani because he said so many people spend their life, part of their life, figuring out what they want to do with their life. Brittani said she's known what she wanted to do, that she wanted to work with people like us since she was 4 years old. And it's because she had a wonderful experience with her friend, Mr. Logan at church, who was in his 90s. So we're glad. So we hope we're nice to lots of young people who want to work with us as they age. Brittani, she started out volunteering in nursing homes and got a nurse's assistant certification while she was still in high school. So she was on the road. Today, her experience covers the complete gamut of senior living options, from independent living to assisted living to memory care and skilled nursing. Don't forget to leave that out. So Brittani is probably the Brookdale is the largest player here in the senior living space, and a good example of the rental model. We've seen some models where you buy in. This is a rental model. And so Brittani's going to tell us what Brookdale has to offer when the time comes when we no longer to be the ones that mow our own lawns, cook our own meals, and change our light bulbs and clean our gutters. So with that, Brittani, welcome.
All right. Where do I sign up? I hate mowing the lawn. All right. So hi everyone, and everyone on the Zoom. There's the camera. It's nice to have y'all here. And yes. So I'm Brittani, like Miss Sue already said, I'm Brittani. I'm the sales manager over at Brookdale Westlake Hills. I know a lot of people meet me and they go, "You're going to tell me about senior living?" I went and took my nephew to a bowling tournament this past weekend, and he's 16, and people thought we were a couple. And so I'm feeling a little insecure about how young I look. I do have 10 years of experience in senior living, over 10 years of experience. And that's just paid experience, not including all of my volunteering even before that. I'm extremely passionate about senior living, just because, I would say, there are so many reasons why ageism is just running rampant in our society. I would definitely say y'all don't have a huge voice because people aren't, looking at y'all for future votes or, things like that. And it's absolutely ridiculous. And there are just reason on top of other reason, why people, just don't prioritize y'all. And that's something that I really fight for, is just, education. I mean,
yet all the candidates are all like us.
Exactly. Well, and even more than that, I mean, y'all have so much wisdom. Y'all obviously ran the country in the right way, because things went pretty well. So you have the experience. We're definitely losing that intergenerational portion of our society where, we don't hang out. And I'll tell you, a lot of my friends have made a lot of mistakes because they don't have a best friend who's 95 telling them, this might not be the best thing to do. So I've been extremely lucky to have the wisdom and the wonderful people that I've been surrounded by my whole life. So that way I can, make a plan when I'm 4 and stay with that plan. I've had people who tell me, if you have a dream, go for it. So yeah, so I work at Brookdale Westlake Hills. We are a continuing care retirement community.
Tell me times five.
Yes, go ahead. All right. So who is Brookdale? Brookdale specifically, we are, let's see. Oh, you know what? More about who I am. I'm sorry. I skipped over my notes. I wrote all these notes and skipped over them. But another thing about me is that my mom had a liver transplant when I was a teenager. So, you know, a lot of y'all are looking for a place for yourself. A lot of y'all are considering a place for your parents. I know what it's like to have a parent who, you know, you see them go from this vibrant, you know, very capable person to struggling with some of their needs. It's one of the worst things in the world. And you know, that's something that I understand, and another reason why I do what I do. Is because, and she's doing very well now. She's about 22 years post-surgery, and she's doing great. So that's another reason why I'm so passionate about what I do. So yes, I will go on to who is Brookdale. Okay, so Brookdale Senior Living, we are a giant among the senior living companies. We have more than 675 retirement communities in 48 states. So all of the mainland states have at least one Brookdale in them. We have 55,902 total units, and we have the ability to house more than 60,000 residents. I do want to make a mention of Cindy Bear. She's our CEO. She initiated the company's operational turnaround strategy, developed called the Winning Locally Action Plan. Why that matters to y'all is because we cater to our individual community. I think what makes the Austin communities so strong is that we cater to our specific surrounding area. Each one of us, there's 9 Brookdales in Austin, and each one of us caters to the neighborhood around it. And that's what makes each place so special. That's why you go in and you get that gut feeling of, oh my gosh, this feels like home. This feels comfortable. This feels like a place where, you know, I get goosebumps because I'm inspired. You know, that makes all the difference. And I definitely admire Cindy Bear for having that strategy, because at the end of the day, Brookdale, you know, we could be, you know, this big corporation where we do everything cookie cutter, but instead they empower their communities to serve their immediate surroundings, so that way you're not getting a cookie cutter, you know, lifestyle, because you aren't cookie cutter people. Y'all are so different individually, just like any of us. So I think it's a very respectful approach. I think it's a very realistic approach. And yes, every community does bingo because it is fun. But when it comes to our activities, I mean, I could point to any activity on our calendar, and I know the residents who go there. You know, I know the residents who inspired starting that group, you know, who inspired starting the poetry group, who inspired starting the book club, different things like that. Who inspired, you know, different party themes at the happy hour. All of that. So Brookdale is a corporation, but unlike any other corporation, there are a lot out there who specialize in, for example, hotels. You know, they specialize in cable, but Brookdale specifically only does senior living. Yes, we're a business, and yes, we are for profit. But we strive to be the best, and that means that our residents benefit from our goals. And then we can change it. So Brookdale Westlake Hills is the specific community that I work for. And the reason why we're all here is to learn about CCRC's Continued Care Retirement Community. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about Brookdale. We've served the community for 34, going on 35 years. So we're going to have a big party soon. And then our staff tenure is phenomenal. We've been there for 34 years, and we have several staff members who have been there for more than 30 years. Our housekeeping team has 5 members who have been there more than 25 years. Several of our directors, I mean, I would say I'm the newbie, and I've worked for Brookdale for 3 going on 4 years. And I'm probably the rookie of the group. You have Karen, our sales director, and she's been there for 8 years. You have Todd, he's also been there for 3 years. But he's been with Brookdale, he said it this morning, I think it's 13 years. I should know this one off the top of my head. But then we have our director of housekeeping, James, who's been there for 29 years. Yeah.
Is she a resident yet?
You know, I'm working on it. That's why I'm on the sales team. Then we have, you know, our maintenance director, he's been there, I want to say 17, 18 years. Several of our maintenance team, they've been there, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, 18 and 17 years. So we just have a lot of really good staff tenure, and that makes a big difference because, you know, you never want to get really used to a community and then have the entire management team change. And then it's all these people who have worked in senior living for 1, 2, 3 years. And then they're guinea pigs. You're the reason why they gain experience. But you know, you definitely want a community that's deeply rooted, and they know what they're doing, and they have systems in place that have worked for years. Because then that just gives y'all stability. So you know that you're going to have fun every day. When it comes to programs, oh my gosh, that's one I didn't mention is Laura. She's our resident engagement director, and she's been there for 13 years. She is phenomenal. She gets to know the residents. We also have this whole database. Brookdale has this database, it's TSO Live. And we literally do an hour interview with each resident. So the programs really are a reflection of our population. We do educational lectures. We have published poets who run the poetry club. You know, we're 10 minutes from downtown. So just this past week, we had a St. Patty's Day party. We went to the symphony. We went to the rodeo. We had happy hour. We had book club. We had poetry club, and plenty more activities that I can't even remember all of them to list off, but that's just in the last week. So, you know, we visit restaurants, the symphony, rodeo. We work with local theaters. They do some really cool plays. We have musical guests in every week. You know, it's kind of like a cruise ship, but it's not exactly like a cruise ship. So we did, as a group, take a trip to go to a cruise ship. So we like to keep it interesting. We like to keep programs just very vibrant. Yes, sir.
What kind of fitness programs do you have?
So I'm a huge fan of our fitness programs because along with my experience, I was a CNA in skilled nursing and worked my way up into restorative therapy. So I worked hand in hand, and that's something that I just think is very important. If you don't move it, you lose it. So we have what's called Be Fit. It's Brookdale Fitness. It's actually programs designed by physical therapists, occupational therapists, and geriatric specialists. So you're working out muscles that you need to work out. It's not like if I go to the gym with my nephew, I love my nephew, so you'll hear me reference him a bunch. If I go to the gym with him, he's going to be working on biceps and triceps and whatever makes the girls look at him. You know, but you and I mean, we need to work out muscles that keep us, you know, keep us healthy and keep us walking and keep us on the stairs and keep us, you know, being able to have that stamina to walk, you know, a few miles, you know, so that way we can go to the rodeo. So that's the kind of exercise we do. Another program that we started recently is our Brookdale Fitness for Parkinson's. I'm a huge fan of that. I worked at a community that was just regularly with the Capital Area Parkinson's Society, so I've worked with them a lot. So that's something that I'm super excited and passionate about. And each of us, I mean, especially with Parkinson's, you know, it affects the way that we exercise. It affects, you know, the muscles that we need to work out. So it's just another way that we give our residents that personalized exercise plan. All right. So actually that was my next point. So Brookdale won me over during the pandemic. I always worked for family-owned places. I didn't want to work for the man. And Brookdale really won me over just because of their stability during the pandemic. They didn't hold back. They made sure that their residents had everything they needed. They made sure that their staff had everything that they needed. You know, when it comes to personal protection equipment, you know, Cindy was actually involved in the decision-making and speaking with the teams at each community. It's just very, very personally run. You know, I'm a huge fan of It's Your Ship. Have y'all heard of that book? It's the gentleman, his Captain Michael. He took the worst ship in the Navy and turned it into the best ship in the Navy. And one of his philosophies is it's your ship. That means that, you know, if something doesn't get done, I don't care who did or did not do it, it's your ship. What did you do to make sure that it got done or didn't get done? How can we all personally make this community better? And that's definitely a philosophy that I see all throughout the Brookdale leadership. You know, they all take very much responsibility and pride in what they do. And I think that's what makes it just a really good corporation. So I did share with y'all my one-sheeter. I really don't like fluff. I don't like giving y'all 50 different pages to get lost in, but this is so important that I did pass one out to all of you. It's the 6 dimensions of well-being. I personally am always looking up how to live better. And you know, this is something that I even try to model my own life. I try to do something, you know, once a month that helps me intellectually, something that helps me physically, spiritually. So I'm going to run through these real fast. The intellectual dimension, I mean, we have lectures given by professors. We've got this one lady, she is phenomenal. She gives different lectures where she did like the history of China, like a Discovery Channel kind of presentation of China. Oh gosh, she went into like religions of China. She just did a whole breakdown of all that. I thought it was so cool. So intellectually, our residents' needs are met. The physical dimension, that be fit, just fitness in general is something that you can find resources for at Brookdale. The spiritual dimension, you know, we have non-denominational services, we have Catholic services where you can get a full Catholic mass. All of these things are just very important. We have our activities director in assisted living is actually a retired chaplain. So, you know, if one of our residents, you know, let's say maybe they're Buddhist, we'll go talk to her and have them go talk to them, and she can meet their spiritual needs on that level. But we try to meet everyone's needs. The purposeful dimension, we all want to live a purposeful life. You know, it seems like once you hit a certain age, people don't understand that you still want to volunteer. 60% of my residents still want to volunteer. So, you know, we might not all be able to go walk along the highway and pick up trash, but there's still, that's one that we always did in high school, but there's still so many opportunities. You know, we're going to be working on making bags for the teachers for the last day of school. You know, things like that. There's so many opportunities that we can take advantage of to live a purposeful life. even more than that, you know, it's not uncommon for a new resident to come in with mixed feelings. You know, yes, they're excited about joining a community, but gosh, y'all know how difficult the decision is. And to be able to sit down with your neighbor and have a conversation and, you know, have your feelings validated. You know, that is a whole nother purpose itself, where we are a community. You know, that's something that that we kind of miss out on when we're at home. Like once we are unable to drive, or even if you're my age and, you know, you just don't want to get out there in traffic because it's miserable. So, you know, we avoid going to our friends' homes, you know, we avoid the socialization that maybe was easier, a little while back. But, you know, it's so easy to live a purposeful life in a community because you literally just go a few doors down, and you have people that you're forming true connections with. And that makes a big difference. The emotional dimension, you know, we do veterans luncheons once a month. Nobody knows a veteran like a veteran. I grew up next to Fort Hood, and I truly believe that. So when it comes to like emotional connection, you know, we have ladies socials, we have veterans luncheons where, you know, they're talking to each other and congregating and, you know, having those moments where they can bring up, you know, what they've been through. I think that's so important that we hit those emotional, the emotional dimension. And of course, the social dimension. Now that one, I don't think needs a whole lot of explaining. We get together all the time. I mean, one of our happy hours might have 70 people, or, you know, maybe we're not all social butterflies and we don't want to see 70 people. But we do have, you know, different groups where, you know, Bible study, you know, you might have 10 people, and then you might have another gathering, like Hook Nook, where there's 10 people. So, you know, it really just depends on what your niche is. I have residents who they just are not interested in gathering in groups whatsoever, but they'll go have lunch with their next door neighbor, and just have a great time. And that fills their social need, their need to engage with other people. So I'm a huge fan of just how Brookdale really caters to those 6 dimensions. We used to think that there were only 3, but then we've realized, you know, we have more needs than that. It's not just physical, spiritual, and educational. There's so much more. We're so much deeper than that. Yes, sir.
I know you work obviously in Westlake Hills, but in general, most of the Brookdale facilities in Austin would fit the model you're describing.
Yes. All of Brookdale caters to these 6 dimensions. Brookdale Westlake Hills is the only CCRC that is monthly rent, that kind of setup. But when it comes to the activities, when it comes to you know, just the common goals, we definitely have that same core structure, those core values. And then I'll break it down: independent living, assisted living, skilled nursing. And we have several assisted living communities with memory care. We're the only CCRC for Brookdale in the Austin area. And there's only, I think, 4 CCRCs. That's the continuing care retirement community. And I think there's only 4 in the area. I was an outside marketer, so I've been to almost every place in town. There might be one that I don't know about, but I think there's 4. So there's 4 communities that I'll be describing, but a lot of our Brookdale communities are assisted living and memory care. Yes.
You have a swimming pool.
Oh, yeah. Heated to 85 degrees year round.
How large is it?
Can you repeat the questions for the people on the, just, you don't have to repeat the whole question, but just in your answer.
Next one, yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yes,
thank
I
you.
can do that. So the swimming pool, it's big. We do have aerobic classes, every Friday whenever, the weather warms up. So we let the weather tell us when to start it up again. So those, I mean, I would say we've had, maybe 15 people and they're able to spread out very comfortably. So if that tells you anything about the size.
Walking swim laps.
It's not a lap pool, I know that, but you can swim laps from one end to the other. Mhm. Yes, all right. So, senior living in Austin. Austin has been one of the fastest growing senior populations, in the United States for years. I mean, like, I think it's almost been a decade where we were just booming. I think we're third or fourth now. But for the longest time, we were the #1 fastest growing city for the senior population. So what that means is, where there is supply or where there is demand, there is supply. So there are so many services here that are available to you, that aren't available 2 hours north, aren't available 1 hour south. So the only way that y'all can find out about that is if you, yes, there are searches that you can do, but if you know someone in the senior living industry, and you just call them up and you just say, hey, this is my problem. And I say, hey, I know a solution. There is a solution for everything. So really having a contact in the senior living industry is just invaluable. Senior living, I will say, I'm not an expert at 55 plus and I'm not an expert at group homes, but I am going to touch on them, just because that's where senior living starts. So 55 plus or 62 plus. The Fair Housing Act has been doing a little bit of different stuff. So a lot of places are now 62 plus, but there are still some 55 plus locations. That is apartment living, where your neighbors are the same age. You probably don't have any yard work because it's apartment living, and that's great. But you might have staff members who are knowledgeable about senior resources, but really, truly, it's apartment living. And then group homes. Typically, group homes kind of cater to a population that is high acuity care, but on a budget. So if you're just needing somebody there 24/7, you're really needing a lot of care. That's typically why you would choose a group. Then we have independent living. So independent living is where we start. We have independent living communities that are perfect for seniors who are looking to make the most out of the retirement experience, provide for their own needs. So y'all still have a lot of control. And one big misconception. So when you go to skilled nursing, I'm going to jump. When you go to skilled nursing and you're being covered by Medicare, Medicare has this rule where you're only allowed to leave for 4 hours at a time. Independent living, assisted living, and skilled nursing outside of Medicare, nobody has that rule. So there's this common misconception that you have to get permission to leave a senior living community, and you don't. You don't at all. We do ask that you let us know that you're not going to be there, because we're going to notice. We know you, we love you. We're going to notice when you're not home, and we're going to wonder where you are and if you're doing all right. So we do ask that you let us know. But I had a gentleman, his daughter took him on an Alaskan cruise for 2 weeks. And boy, did we miss him, but boy, were we glad that he was out having fun. So y'all are welcome to come and go as you please. Our residents themselves, a big old group of them went with our resident engagement director, and they went on a cruise themselves. So you are welcome to come and go as you please. We are a pet-friendly, site, and so if y'all have pets at home, you don't have to abandon those poor babies, in order to move in. We even have services that we can help you with walking your dog, so you get to stay with your baby. I just got a puppy a couple months ago, so, I get it.
Is there a size limit on the?
It really is a behavioral limit, where, they can't be running down the hall and taking people out. To a point. She was asking if there's a size limit on pets, and I will say we had very gentle Great Pyrenees in our community. But I would say, if it's a German Shepherd that goes running down the hallway and jumps on people, that probably wouldn't be the right fit. So
My service peacock's okay, though.
if you come see me,
Or bites the Secret Service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
then yeah, that's, y'all get it. We do on-site activities, off-site excursions. We have amenities covered. There's a salon on site. There's a fitness center. There's concierge. There's transportation. Independent living may be a good option for you if you're looking to downsize, if you're looking to simplify your life. Or if you're looking for more social opportunities. The biggest thing is if you notice that you're avoiding driving, because Austin traffic again is so terrible, then that's when you would benefit from independent living, because you can still do so many fun things without having to worry about driving, because we'll drive you. We all deal with that stress. And we have a really good time. Typically, meals are provided. Yes, sir.
If you want to drive, is there a parking place?
There are parking spaces. Yes, sir. And our residents, we do assign them parking spaces. So we have covered, which you automatically get, and then we have uncovered, which you automatically get, and then we also have the option for covered parking. So you get meals, you get utilities covered. We do have a phone jack. You typically cover your own phone bill in independent living. We do linens and towels. So your bed sheets will take care of those things, so you're not having to fold these gigantic pieces. Yes, sir.
Touched on the meal, but I assume you'll elaborate on that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the food is so good.
Everybody brags about the food, so that's an honest.
Well, we're actually known for having the best food in town. So, yes, so we provide breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You get the choice of lunch or dinner, but if you want to sign up for a third meal, it's an additional cost. We do $15 for a guest meal or for an extra meal, which is, you can barely get a Big Mac for that anymore. Where on Fridays we have steak and wine. So we always encourage everyone, bring your kids on Friday nights, and we'll all have a really good time. I know everyone brags about their food, but having alternative options, that's the biggest thing. Whether the food is good or bad, it doesn't, that's not the biggest thing. It's that we all have different tastes. We all have different preferences. So what we typically have is a hearty option. We have a healthy option, and then we have something new, or I don't know, I don't want to say trendy, but something different, new to try, maybe a little more adventurous. So that's where we might have like a tuna fish stuffed avocado, which is pretty good. And then you always have additional entree options. We usually have about 4 that are like, some form of baked chicken, some form of fish, some form of a vegetarian option. And then I'm just envisioning our menu. And then on the sides, we have our entree salads available, and then we have our sandwiches. So of course we have egg salad, chicken salad, tuna salad always available. And oh gosh, different, club sandwiches, all that stuff. So, thank you.
Today within the standard, rental line.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Do you have creme brulee?
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. So, that's one thing that is different at our community is that we actually have our own pastry chef. So we have creme brulee, we have, cannolis, we have delicious lemon bars. I'll tell you, I started, working there in size 4 pants and I'm about 8 sizes bigger now. The food is delicious.
How many units do you have?
We have 149 units in independent living, 30 units in assisted living, and we can accommodate anywhere from 60 to 90 people in our skilled nursing, depending on what's shared and what's not. Yes.
Did I understand you to say that Westlake is the only Brookdale that has independent living?
Yes.
Okay.
I had to
All
scan my
rest
map.
Require more in the Austin area.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And I'll say, you know what? No, Gaines Ranch has independent living. Yes, so independent living, assisted living, and yeah, they're close to a CCRC, but not quite. They send their skilled nursing residents over to us.
You mentioned skilled nursing, but you also
Yes.
mentioned memory care.
There's also memory care. We
Yeah,
don't have
all-
memory care
got
on
it.
site. And actually, you know what? I'll just touch on that, once we get to the memory care slide. Yeah. But a CCRC is defined as independent living, assisted living, and skilled nursing. Because no matter what healthcare issues you're going through, you have a solution. Uh-oh. Do we have okay, they just entered. Okay. So typically in independent living, you have your linens and towels taken care of, you have weekly housekeeping, you have programs, you have maintenance, you have 24/7 emergency response. So that means there's not a call button to help you like tie your shoe, but there is a call button if you have an emergency. You can come and go as you please. We're ADA friendly. We have transportation. A lot of independent living communities have some sort of relationship with a home health, where you can schedule care at home. Our community specifically, we have Brookdale at Home who offices on site, and they only serve our community. So you're not fighting for time slots with the rest of Austin. They're able to cater to our residents specifically. Then you also have an emergency pendant. So you wear that around your neck and it's kind of like the life alert button, but a whole lot more useful because you get somebody in the building when you press it. So instead of having, a service that, y'all know whenever you call someone, you go on hold and then weird contracts, the department, I think it's the National Department of Aging, they don't actually recommend life alert. So that's why I tell everyone, our pendants aren't in building. So you're having an actual person, come by and see if you're okay. So I think that's just so important. So then we go to assisted living. Thank you, Rick. And then assisted living. There are type A assisted living and type B assisted living. Type A assisted living, the Department of Disabilities defines it as a facility that cares for residents who do not require routine attendance during sleeping hours and are capable of following directions in an emergency. A type B facility, DADS defines it as a type B facility is for residents who require staff assistance to leave the facility and are not capable of following directions in an emergency and require nighttime attendance. Now, I read that and I go, huh? So yeah. The way that I usually break it down is the difference between a type A and a type B facility is a fire marshal code. At a type A location, you have to be able to self-evacuate in under 13 minutes. You are responsible for your own evacuation. At a type B facility, staff can assist you in the evacuation process and are responsible for your evacuation. So that kind of makes it a little bit more simple.
So, for example, that means being able to, if there's a fire and they shut down the elevators, that means being able to negotiate the stairway.
Correct.
Well,
Correct. So if you're moving into a type A, sometimes what they'll do is they will, move somebody to a location really close to the door if they have some mobility issues. But the way that I see it, I always share with families, you want to plan with your senior living journey, you want to plan for emergencies to happen on your worst day, not on your best day. We all know on your best day, you can do a whole lot more than on your worst day. So, I always, just really encourage y'all to plan for your worst day. That being said, we have a type B assisted living in our structure. We can typically age in place there. We have 24/7 care assistance. That means if you need help tying your shoe, you can just press that call button and a caregiver will come in and help you with that. So they can help you upon request versus having to schedule care in independent living. I always tell everyone, if you're not sure if you need independent living or assisted living, you can live in independent living as long as you're able to schedule the care. So once you're to the point where, you're kind of nervous about being left alone, or, maybe you're needing assistance in the restroom, that's when you need assisted living. We have a nurse in our assisted living. Now we also have, and this is kind of uncommon, but we also have a nurse in our independent living. All that being said, a nurse in independent living or assisted living, they don't function as a nurse. They function as like a consultant, which is very invaluable. But they aren't going to be doing wound care. They're not going to be doing, full-on checkups or anything like that. They might run a blood pressure clinic. They can help you in the event of an emergency. They can tell you, hey, if you're feeling this or feeling that, then I do recommend you go to the hospital, go to the emergency room. So they're fantastic for that, but they're not going to be doing wound care or anything like that.
What are their qualifications? Are they RNs?
So the one that we have, she is, what is Helen? Oh gosh, she's worked for Brookdale for almost 2 decades. But I think she's an LVN. Yes. But I will say, LVN versus RN, I would always ask what their experience is.
What about loading your pill tray for the week?
Correct. That's a good question. So assisted living, we're automatically going to do medication management. If you're running low on a medication, we're fighting with the pharmacy to make sure that you get all of your medications. We're making sure that, from step A to step Z is done. You're not managing any of that. Where independent living, what we can do in independent living is we can do medication reminders. We can knock on your door and say, hey, it's time to take your AM Tuesday medications. Make sure you take it, mark it down. But in assisted living, we're actually pulling out the pills that you need, handing them to you, watching you take them, and saying thank you, charting it in a computer, and all that jazz. But then in independent living, if you need somebody to fill your trays, you would need a family member or maybe a home health nurse to come in and do that. That would be a service that you hire. Now, independent living, we do have residents who stay in our independent living for a long time, and they're able to supplement those services with outside services. And we're always there to help you. So if you need a phone number for a nurse that can come fill your pill box, we have it. So that's another thing is, I know that there are a lot of questions and I'm happy to answer them. But there are so many options with senior living that it can be overwhelming. So one of the best things about senior living is that, you know, you find what's right for you right now. And in the future, you know, you are going to have people there to support you and resources to help you get through all of the ifs in the future.
I have a question about the rehab.
Yes.
Is the rehab, is that separate or within the skilled nursing?
So ours is one big building. Rehab is all mixed in with like the long-term residents in our skilled nursing, which is a huge plus because the activities are just much more full because of that. But I'll jump into skilled nursing next. So with assisted living, you had asked me, you know, we have 149 apartments in independent living. And then in assisted living, we have about 30 apartments. So the assisted living community is just a much smaller space. So it's easier to get around. So it's a fantastic solution if you're having some major mobility issues, because even though technically your world shrinks from 149 apartments to 30, your world actually opens up because it makes everything that's there accessible to you. Instead of having to go, you know, a quarter mile down the hall in order to go to the movie theater, you know, you really just have to go 4 doors down to get to the central hub of everything in our living room. So, you know, that makes a big difference. Skilled nursing. Sometimes you need a few days in the hospital to recover from surgery or other medical events, but you also need more rehab before you can head home. This is one of the most common reasons people come to skilled nursing, and that's because they need a little time to get back on their feet. One of the biggest things about skilled nursing is that it greatly reduces the rehospitalization rate. If you go from the hospital straight to home, you know, chances are you're at a new normal, and you haven't had time to figure out what that new normal is. Even if it is a new normal for the next 2 months, and then, you know, you'll make more progress through therapy to get back on your feet. Something happened and you're going to learn that something new is going on. So going to a skilled nursing is always the best thing to do because therapy can get you back to where you were, or to your strongest. Yes, ma'am.
So is the skilled nursing at your place considered the same as a rehab hospital as far as Medicare is concerned?
As far as Medicare is concerned,
Probably not.
our,
There's a distinction between rehab and skilled nursing.
and yes,
Period.
yes. So Medicare covers skilled nursing after you've had 3 midnight stays at a hospital. That is what is typically considered rehab. I would say rehab isn't necessarily a licensed term. So skilled nursing is the licensed term. It is a skilled nursing facility where we conduct rehabilitation. So it's kind of like at this restaurant, it's a restaurant, we sell burgers. At this skilled nursing, it's a skilled nursing, we sell rehab. Does that kind of make sense? Okay, so rehab is more of a service that we offer, where Medicare says that you have to go to a skilled nursing location.
So does
Yes.
that mean you have your own physical therapist and occupational therapist, or they have to bring in a?
Oh, no, you have your own, we provide the occupational therapist, the speech therapist, and the physical therapist, yes. Now, this is where it gets tricky. And I'm gonna tell y'all everything that I know, but if it gets too complicated, just know that we have, admissions directors, who communicate directly with your case manager at the hospital, and they communicate together with the insurance company, who makes our lives incredibly difficult and hard to understand. And they figure it out. They figure it out for you because they make our lives incredibly difficult. What I will say is you get something like 21 covered days, and then they can cover you for a total of 100 days a year. And then there's something that happens if you're at home for, I think, like 60 days, you get a reset of that number. Those are all the maximum of what they can do. Chances are they're not going to cover you near as long. What I see is if you're, if you're making progress, they do have standards that they consider. And they, it's not just somebody just saying, I think this is her new normal. They have a checklist where they kind of decide it, but I will say, I have not always agreed with, what they consider people's new normal. Typically, you're going to be covered for about 2 weeks. And then you can decide to go home, go to assisted living, go to independent living with services, or pay out of pocket for the skilled nursing. I will say that's where I come in typically, is I come by and I give you all of your options. If you're making great progress in skilled nursing, then it might be a good idea to go to independent living, have that outpatient therapy, and then just keep working hard until you can go home while you still have that supportive environment. So that way you don't go home and then just have another fall. Having a step down, it's kind of like, here's skilled nursing. The next step is assisted living. The next step is independent living. And then the next step is home. So I always think about it, have y'all ever missed a step when you're walking down the stairs? Because I have, and it kind of jolts you. So it's kind of like, if you're walking down the stairs, you wouldn't skip steps and just hop over, to home. You would take a couple of steps down. So that way you don't trip and fall, because that's something that we do see a lot of, is people get out of the hospital, they get out of rehab, and they go home and they're not quite ready for that environment. And then they do trip and fall or something like that. I'm knocking on wood so it doesn't happen to anyone. It's always good to have a plan of action. I would say even before you start needing any of these levels, it's always a good idea to just have a plan, know some facilities that you like, or that maybe your friends stay at, that you go and have lunch with them at. So that way you have a plan for the future. And I'm almost done. Yes, sir.
Are you gonna cover costs before you're done?
So it gets a little tricky. But what I will say is the average cost, it really depends on community, it depends on level of care. The average cost of assisted living in Austin, so that's very mid-range, is about $5,500.
Independent?
Assisted living.
No, what about independent?
I don't know. But
Skilled?
I can find out for you. I know skilled. I've seen most skilled nursings go anywhere from $250 to $400 per day. So, yes.
And we have kept you more than an hour, so, but if there are more comments.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to leave.
So
Yes.
A daily per diem is like the $550.
Skilled nursing goes where you pay per day. Assisted living and independent living, you pay per month.
You said, so, this facility is the only per month one. What are the others?
So the others are buy-in communities where,
Dales are?
oh, no. All of our Brookdales are per month.
Okay. You
Yes,
said I,
yes.
so I thought
Ours
you
is
did
the
that just one.
only CCRC. So CCRCs are where you have independent living, assisted living, and skilled nursing. We're the only CCRC in town where you don't have to have a buy-in fee of anywhere from 250,000 to $1 million. Or whatever is going on nowadays.
Are independent living a long-term lease or is it month by month?
No, so independent living, you give a 60-day notice if you decide to move out. Assisted living is a 30-day notice. I would say anything more than that, I would question personally, because we don't know what tomorrow brings. We just don't. So I think it's shady to have somebody in a year lease or 2 years.
So what is the monthly cost? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Just
That's
answer.
what you were thinking.
Okay, I just.
So the average for assisted living in Austin is 5,500, but it really depends, correct?
Okay.
Yes,
Right.
yes. But it really depends on the size of the apartment, the level of care, all that. Yes,
Westlake is a little higher on that.
it is. It is. We are in Westlake, and also, we're going to the symphony. We're, going to the rodeo. The activities that I've shared with you, the lifestyle, is definitely very active, very active. Yes, sir.
Probably said it back.
Oh, that's okay.
One bedroom apartment, independent living, there's a monthly fee plus the living expense, so to speak, or maybe you $3,000, you do all the wonderful, you really have outlined nice.
Thank you.
For a one bedroom apartment, what's the monthly cost?
So we have 3 different styles of 1 bedroom. So
Keep it simple.
we start off at 49. For 1 person.
Now, if you have 2 people, it's a double.
Typically with spouses, you're gonna have an additional fee that covers meals, and that one's easier to answer because it's just one number for every community. So ours is $775. So that covers, activities, meals, transportation. That's what that goes to. I know communities that have anywhere from $500 per month to $1,500 per month. So it's a good range, but it's a whole lot more finite.
You can stay home.
Yeah, and then the benefits of moving to a CCRC are that you move into a community, you get to know the management team, you know who's running it, you know how well they run it. So should you need a different level of care, yes, you have to make another move within the community, but you already know the systems, you already know the people. It makes it a whole lot easier of a move. And then there's also, for couples especially, we typically don't age at the same rate. So, if one member of the couple needs skilled nursing and the other one needs independent living, you could live in different levels of care. We have about 35 couples right now. So I've had so many residents where a spouse was in skilled nursing, and they could just go right over there. And it makes a huge difference to be able to see your loved one every day and not have to drive 30 minutes to see them.
So they can have a date night.
Yes, they can. Valentine's Day is really fun. We do chocolate covered strawberries and, have candles and roses and all that stuff. The biggest thing I want y'all to take from this is that senior living is about preservation. You want to move in a state that you want to preserve yourself. You don't want to move in after something has already broken. You want to make sure that you're moving in when you're still able to enjoy yourself. Enjoy, everything that it has to offer. I have so many people who they just put it off and they wait until, something happens at home and they have to come in. And, unfortunately, they usually, come in, maybe I met them when they were, as high functioning as y'all, and then they move in and they're on a walker and we have to do a bunch of therapy to get them off the walker so that way they can finally enjoy themselves again. I would say, let's not wait that long. Let's come up with a plan. So that way, even if you just want to keep putting it off, at least, God forbid, if something were to happen, you would have a plan and you would know, you would have the ability to make the choice for yourself.
We tell that to people considering joining Capital City Village.
Yes,
Don't wait too long. We've had some people wait too long and they're gone the next week. period.
Exactly.
So it's important. We agree with you, to form those relationships, have enough energy to do that.
absolutely.
And I see this nice little gift you're putting
Yes.
on here. Are they good at any of the Brookdales or?
They are. They're good at any of the Brookdales. I will say, if y'all write down my number, because I did not bring my cards, please write down my number. That is my cell phone number. If y'all call me, if y'all text me, I have stepped foot in every Brookdale except for Gaines Ranch, and that's because I worked very closely with a girl who worked, a lady who worked there for 18 years. So I know everything about them without stepping foot. I've been to every community. My goal is not to move everybody into Brookdale Westlake Hills. Don't tell my boss, this is recording. Don't watch this. My goal is not to move everybody into Brookdale Westlake Hills. My goal is to move everybody into a community where they can thrive. I was an outside marketer for 2 years. I've stepped foot in just about every location in Austin, and the surrounding areas. My goal is to find you a community where you can thrive. Maybe it's the community that's closest to your grandbabies. Maybe it's the community that's closest to your church. Maybe it's the community that, you already know, all the teachers that you used to work with, they've all retired there. That's where I want you to go.
Can you tell us about the Brookdale and Mesa, what levels they provide?
They provide assisted living and memory care. And
No independent,
oh,
okay.
no,
Like we were, because we used to live next door to it, is that it's the structure of the building.
yes,
It's an A or a B.
because of
where
the structure, it's a type A.
That
Mhm.
you have to have help getting out, and so therefore it's more expensive.
Yes,
Oh.
yes. Yeah, and yeah, again, I've worked I know all of the communities, so if y'all just give me a call and say, hey, this is what we're needing, this is what, I'm planning for the future when I need this kind of location, that is, that's what I'm looking for. I'm gonna tell you.
Don't worry.
Which
we have a
community?
Number on our central register.
Oh, perfect.
And I'll email, if you send me an email, I can email everyone,
That sounds good.
to make sure they have your information.
Yes, yes. All right.
Well,
thank you.
Come to any of our events and visit.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna follow y'all on social media and all that good stuff.
About to post a picture of you.
Oh, yay.